Sri Bhakti Ratnakar, The Ocean of Devotion, by Srila Narahari Chakravarti. All glories to Sri Gaur Govinda, the Lord of all. All glories to Lord Nityananda, Haladar. All glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu, the foremost distributor of devotion. All glories to Sri Gadadhar Pandit, the reservoir of love. All glories to Srivas Pandit, the friend of the poor. All glories to Sanatan and Rupa Goswamis, who are oceans of mercy. All glories to the merciful devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Have mercy on us, as we are completely dependent on your grace. All glories to the listeners of Bhakti Ratnakar, who possess all devotional qualities. Kindly hear my story. I have been discussing the affectionate behavior of Sri Jiva Goswami towards Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Mahashai. One day, Sri Jiva Goswami decided to send Srinivas and Narottam to tour all of the holy places of Vraj. As he wondered who should guide them, Raghava Goswami arrived from Govardhan. Sri Jiva was very glad to see him, and after seeing him inquired about his well-being. Raghava told Sri Jiva, "I have decided to tour Vraj, and for that purpose I will very soon take leave." Sri Jiva was quite happy to hear that, and asked Raghava to take Srinivas and Narottam along with him. Raghava was pleased with the idea. Meanwhile, Srinivas and Narottam arrived there and bowed at the feet of Sri Jiva and Raghava. Raghava embraced Srinivas and Narottam very affectionately, making them ecstatic. Sri Jiva Goswami informed them about the tour of the holy places in Vraj. Overwhelmed with joy, they asked permission to leave immediately. In great satisfaction, Sri Jiva Goswami then bid farewell to Srinivas and Narottam. Srinivas and Narottam toured Vrindavan with Raghava Pandit. Sri Raghava happily led Srinivas and Narottam to Mathura. They first went to the temple of Sri Keshavadev, where Subudhi Rai had once stayed. They glorified the qualities of Sri Subudhi Rai, and in the evening they began Nam Sankirtan. Raghava Goswami was always intoxicated in ecstatic love. There is no end to the description of his character. The glories of Sri Raghava Goswami. Who can describe the activities of such an exalted Vaishnava as Sri Raghava Pandit? He belonged to a Kulina Brahmana family of South India, and he always showed extreme favor to the poor. He has written various books like Sri Bhakti Ratnakar Prakash. Raghava Goswami was an authority in all Shastras. He always lived at Govardhan, the place which was all in all for him. It is stated in Gaur Ganodesh Deepika, that person who was Saki Champak Lata, the life of Srimati Radharani in Vraj, has appeared as Sri Raghava Goswami, the resident of Govardhan in Gaura Leela. He has written a book called Sri Bhakti Ratnakar Prakash. From time to time, Raghava Pandit would visit various places in Vrindavan, and at other times he stayed with Sri Das Goswami, Raghunath Das. Sometimes both of them would come to Vrindavan to meet the other devotees. Raghava always chanted the glories of Radha and Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and floated in his own tears. He used to roll in the dust of Vrindavan, and he never felt the urge of hunger. Who can understand the depths of his detachment from worldly pleasures? Sri Raghava knew that Srinivas and Narottam were of the same mentality, full of love and devotion, therefore he loved them intensely. At dawn, in a solitary place, Sri Raghava began to describe the innumerable pastimes of Sri Krishna in Mathura Mandal. King Vajranabha of Mathura Mandal established many villages, which he had named after Krishna's various pastimes. By installing many deities of Krishna and revealing many kundas, King Vajranabha satisfied his own long-cherished desires. Vajranabha was the great-grandson of Krishna. He was the son of Aniruddha, the son of Pradyumna. After some time However, the locations of these holy places were almost lost. No one cared to discuss or remember these holy places of the Lord's pastimes there. Much later, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Vrajendra Kumar himself, came to Mathura and indicated the locations of those lost holy places. He described everything about those places to Sanatan and Rupa. Although Rupa and Sanatan were familiar with the places and their importance, nevertheless they sought evidence from the scriptures. After collecting scriptural references, they traveled to each of the holy places in Vraj. With utmost care, they re-established many of the lost holy places. They also revealed the glories of Sri Sri Radhakrishna and the essence of their divine love. Rupa and Sanatan were very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of their sincere endeavor to reveal the holy places, people can now know the glories of Mathura. Raghava Pandit describes the glories of Mathura. Mathura Mandal covers 20 yojanas, 160 miles of land. One who bathes anywhere in Mathura is freed from his sins. Adi Varaha Puran confirms this in the following statement. As darkness is vanquished by the sunrise, as mountains tremble in fear of thunder, as snakes fear Garuda, as clouds are removed by the blowing wind, as miseries are destroyed through the cultivation of knowledge, and as deer tremble in fear of lions, so are the sins destroyed by the sight of Mathura. In the conversation of Hara Gauri in the Padma Puran, Patalakanda, the same information has been given. As heaps of grass are burnt by fire, so all the greatest sins of men can be destroyed by seeing all the places of Mathura. In the Adi Varaha Puran, it is stated, every step taken within the 20 yojanas of Mathura gives the same virtuous results as in Ashvamedha Yagya. If anyone commits a sin, either intentionally or unintentionally, he can be freed from that sin by visiting any place within Mathura. According to the Vayu Puran, any sin committed in Mathura is destroyed in Mathura itself. By living in Mathura, one can attain the 4 goals of human life, namely Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, religiosity, wealth, sense gratification, and salvation. The Padma Puran, Patalakanda, also states, O Mahadevi, the result of whatever sin forces a man to suffer for 10 years outside of Mathura can be destroyed within 10 days by living in Mathura. In the Adi Varaha Puran, Lord Varaha narrates the glories of Mathura to the deity of the earth. Hey Vashundare, in the 3 worlds, there is no place more dear to me than Mathura. Narad Muni speaks the following words in the Skanda Puran, Mathura Kand. The results one gets by living in Bharat Varsha, India, for 33,000 years are easily attained simply by remembering the glories of Mathura. In Padma Puran, Patalakanda, it is stated, if someone cherishes the hope of visiting Mathura but never gets the opportunity, or if someone dies outside of Mathura cherishing the hope of visiting Mathura, he will attain a birth in Mathura. Mathura is the best of all tirthas and shelter of many holy sites, the number of which cannot be counted. In Adi Varaha Puran, it is stated, Hey Vashundare, I have indicated 660 billion holy places in Mathura Mandal. From the Skanda Puran, Mathura Kand, it is stated, O king, in the course of time, it may be possible to count the particles of dust on the earth, but the number of holy places in Mathura cannot be counted. Then in the Patalakanda of Skanda Puran, dear man, just live in Mathura Puri, where Govinda, the creator of the 3 worlds, and his gopis reside eternally. O lovers of worldly affairs, do take a lesson. If you want to get eternal happiness, simply live in Mathura. Another quote from Adi Varaha Puran states, the person who rejects Mathura and lives in any other holy place, or even expresses his love for living outside of Mathura, is a foolish person. By my illusory potency, that man will pass life after life within this material world. A similar verse is found in the Skanda Puran. The Adi Varaha Puran also states, Madhupuri is the refuge of those who have been rejected by friends and family and have no other shelter. Mathura is the essence and the most secret of all holy tirthas and the ultimate goal of all those who are searching for the absolute truth. Again, in the Adi Varaha Puran it is stated, O Devi, within the three worlds there is certainly no place superior to Mathura. I lived there throughout the ages. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.8.42, Narad says to Dhruva, My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune to you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. A verse in the Vishnu Puran says, Shatrugna founded Mathura after killing the powerful demon Lavana, the son of Madhu. Mathura is the abode of Mahadev, the deity of all deities and the great devotee of Hari. Mahadev executed his austerities in Mathura, the place which can destroy all sins. In Vayu Puran, there is a verse, Mathura may be extended up to 40 yojanas, 320 miles. Lord Hari himself remains there eternally. It is stated by Lord Varaha in the Adi Puran, the opportunity to live in Mathura cannot be gained by different types of pious activities, different types of charities, austerities, chantings of mantras, or various sacrifices, but can only be attained by my mercy. Living in Mathura is made possible by the grace of Lord Krishna, and without that grace, one cannot remain in Mathura for even a second. In the Padma Puran, Uttarakhanda, there is a statement, attachment for Mathura is aroused only in those fortunate persons who have firm devotion to Sri Hari and have achieved his grace. Again in the Padma Puran, Nirvana Kanda, O best of Brahmanas, when a person becomes purified through meditation, pious activities, and austerities, only then he can attain the darshan of my auspicious Mathura Puri. Others cannot see Mathura in thousands of kalpas. It is well known and confirmed in the Purans, Mathura is the bestower of liberation in every respect. The Adi Varaha Puran further states, the ultimate goal of one who practices yoga, one who knows Brahma, or one who is a thoughtful philosopher is easily attained by one who dies in Mathura. O Devi, any person who dies in any place within Mathura, a holy place, a home, or even a courtyard, certainly attains salvation. In this world, Mathura is the best of all holy places, beginning with Kashi. Whoever sincerely maintains brahmacharya, dies, and is cremated there will attain the 4 types of salvation. That same salvation is awarded to worms, insects, birds, and other creatures who die there, or even trees which fall from the bank of Yamuna. Another verse in the Padma Puran, Patalakanda, states, if the ceremony of Pindadana, offering homage to dead souls, is performed for low-caste people like Chandalas, Shudras, women, and animal killers in Mathura, those people will be relieved of repeated birth. O Devi, if any being dies in a drain, on bricks, in the crematorium, in the sky, or on any platform of any house in Mathura, he can surely attain salvation. A verse in the Shoda Puran states, here is the place named Mathura, famous in the 3 worlds. Its pathways are purified by the dust from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Simply by its touch, people can attain salvation from the miseries and bondage of the material world. In Mathura Kanda, it stated, thoughts such as, I shall live in Mathura, or I shall go to Mathura, are also sufficient to guarantee liberation from the material world. A verse in the Brahmanda Puran states, those who get the darshan of Achyuta, the son of Devaki, can attain Vishnu Loka and never fall back to the material world. A person who celebrates the festivals of Lord Krishna with full faith becomes free from all sins and goes to Vishnu Loka. Another verse in the Padma Puran, Patalakanda, says, women, untouchables, shudras, animals, deer, birds, etc. can attain salvation if they die in Mathura. Those who die in Mathura by snake bite, by the attack of wild animals, from fire, from water, or any other sort of unnatural death, are transferred to Vaikuntha Loka, the abode of Hari. A verse in the Brahmanda Puran states, O great sage, I promise you that there is no other place in this world like Mathura. It can fulfill all the desires of all living beings. In the Skanda Puran Mathura Kand, it is said, is there any type of result which cannot be attained in Mathura, where Kshetrapala Mahadev exists eternally and where there are holy places like Vishramagat? Mathura gives the three goals of human life: religion, wealth, sense gratification, to those who wish to enjoy sensual and earthly pleasures. It grants salvation to those who seek it and bestows devotional qualities on the devotees. Wise men should take shelter of Mathura. The Adi Varaha Puran states, even the Lord himself cannot describe the spiritual qualities of Mathura. Mathura must be a special creation of providence. The Mathura Kand states, O king, this eternal place, Mathura, is shaped like a lotus situated on the chakra of Vishnu, and it shall never perish. The Padma Puran, Patalakanda, again states, the name Mathura is equal to the sound Om, Omkara. As Mathura contains the letters Ma, U, and so does the word A, U, Ma. These three syllables make up the name of Mathura. Ma represents Maharudra Shiva. Tu represents Vishnu. And Ra represents Brahma. In this way, Mathura is the topmost abode. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva always reside in Mathura in the form of deities. The fact that devotion to Vishnu can be attained in Mathura is explained in different various Purans in different ways. In the Padma Puran, Patalkand, it is stated, liberation is the wonderful result obtainable by those who visit other holy places. However, devotion to Hari, which even liberated souls desire, can be attained in Mathura. O great sage, if anyone spends even 3 days in Mathura, Hari grants that which even the liberated souls cannot attain. From the Brahmanda Puran, there is the following verse. The precious attainment of ecstatic love, which is rarely obtained by serving all of the holy places of the three worlds, can easily be attained simply by touching the dust of Mathura. The Skanda Puran Mathura Kand states, O king, those who constantly remember Mathura and the king of Mathura, Krishna, attain devotional service at the feet of Lord Hari, which is the result of visiting all the holy places. In the Padma Puran, Patalakanda, it is stated, Mathura is even more glorious than Vaikuntha Dham of Narayan. Anyone who spends even 1 day in Mathura will become devoted to the lotus feet of Sri Hari. A verse in the Adi Varaha Puran says, if anyone desires freedom from material bondage and attainment of love of God, he should glorify Mathura with his body, mind, and words. The enchanting abode of Krishna, Mathura Mandal, the topmost abode, covers 20 yojanas, 160 miles. The name Yayavar comes from the name of a Brahmana, and Saukari comes from Adi Sukara Varaha. Vateshwara Shiva is worshipped by everyone, and the kingdom of Sri Surasen is known to all. People call this place Varaha Dasana Hrada. Yayavar and Saukari are famous in the Purans. The Padma Puran, Yamuna Mahatmya, states, long ago in this beautiful place of the Apsaras, there lived an ascetic Brahmana named Yayavar. Becoming overwhelmed by sensual pleasures, that Brahmana offended Lord Indra and was thus cursed. After suffering a long time from the fire of Indra's curse, In spite of performing severe austerities to get relief, he eventually got freed from his sins simply by touching a drop of water here. That Brahmana then traveled east till he reached Salkarapuri, where Lord Varahadev had previously manifested himself to rescue the earth when it had sunk in the ocean of universal devastation. Just as the boundary of Mathura Mandal extends from Yayavar to Salkari, in this way all directions are extended up to 20 yojanas. There are many holy places within Mathura Mandal's 20 yojanas. The Purans classified those holy places within Mathura Mandal where Krishna and Balaram used to play, stating that these holy places covered 12 yojanas. This is also confirmed in the Mathura Kanda. A verse in the Adi Varaha Puran states, Mathura Mandal extends throughout the 24 kroshas and is decorated with Dvadanshas, 12 forests, where Mathura Devi, the bestower of accomplishments, resides. Hey Vashundare, the lotus-like Mathura is the giver of salvation to all. Within the seed pod of Mathura exists Adi Keshavadev, man's deliverer from the miseries and agonies of life. Those who die within this seed pod, as well as those who die on its petals, can attain salvation. Again from the Adi Varaha Puran comes, O mind, why do you lament after seeing Haridev, the worshipable Lord of Mahadev, the deity of deities, who is seated on the western petal of this lotus? If anyone gets the darshan of Govindadev seated on the northern petal, he will not fall again into the material world up to the time of universal devastation. Lord Vishranti is situated on the eastern petal. By seeing him, one is liberated from this miserable world. Of this there is no doubt. On the southern petal, Sri Varahadev is situated. By his mercy, man achieves all perfection. By seeing him, one becomes worshipable on Brahmalok. Also, after controlling his senses and taking bath at Mathura, one who has darshan of Keshavadev on the 12th day of the waxing moon in the month of Jaista will obtain the supreme destination. Hey Vasundare, when I lie down, all the holy places, oceans, and kundas of the world come to Mathura. In the same way, the Purans state that Janmashtami in the month of Bhadra is also most glorious. The Skanda Puran also states, originally Mathura Puri was the forest of the demon Madhu who was slain by the almighty Srihari. O king, nothing is impossible within this Madhuvan of Srihari. I am not capable of naming all the holy places situated here. Explaining the glories of Mathura through these references from the Purans, Raghava Pandit was overwhelmed by jubilation and could not remain patient. After finishing the required morning duties, Raghava Pandit with Srinivasacharya and Narottam began their tour of Mathura. They went first to the house of Sanosiya Brahmana, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to beg alms. The Brahmana was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri Goswami and had witnessed Lord Chaitanya's transcendental pastimes. Sri Raghava Pandit said to Srinivas, Gaurachandra used to dance here in ecstasy. Many people came to see his dancing, and they all became intoxicated by Sri Nam Sankirtan. They cried as they realized Mahaprabhu was Vrajendra Nandan himself. They would not leave his association even for a moment, and swam in the ocean of love. Those were the wonderful pastimes of Mahaprabhu here. Raghava Pandit sighed deeply while remembering the pastimes of Gaurachandra, while Narottam and Srinivas cried in ecstasy. They rolled on the ground as they cried, and their bodies became covered with the dust. After a long time, they regained control of themselves. Raghava Pandit continued, a wise person once told me that Advaita Goswami stayed in Mathura during his pilgrimage because of the beauty here. At that time, there was a worthless Brahmana in Mathura who invariably spoke ill of all the Vaishnavas. That was his worst habit. He was a proud scholar and a wicked man, so the inhabitants of Mathura feared him. Once he spoke harshly about the Vaishnavas in front of Sri Advaita Prabhu. Advaita became so furious that his lips began to tremble and his eyes grew red. He shouted at the Brahmana, "O wicked man, today you will not escape from me. I shall sever your head from your body with this chakra." Advaita assumed a four-handed form and the Brahmana began to tremble in fear. He folded his hands and tried to pacify Advaita by saying, "O Lord, punish me as you like. Unfortunately, I have lost my good intelligence and not understanding Vaishnava Tattva. I have committed unlimited sins. Please be kind to me and save me from these sins." The Brahmana began to cry helplessly and Advaita concealed his four-armed form. Seeing the wretched condition of the Brahmana, Advaita felt pity for him and decided to bless him. Advaita spoke in sweet words. "The sins in which you have committed will send you to hell, but I will tell you what you must now do. Admit your guilt, your guilty mentality, give up your pleasures, and engage yourself in Nam Sankirtan. Serve the Vaishnavas with your heart and soul, and be very cautious in your dealings with them. Engage yourself in the worship according to the standards of pure devotion, and do not tell anyone what you have seen today." After advising the Brahmana, Advaita Prabhu left on pilgrimage. The Brahmana absorbed himself in Nam Sankirtan and proved himself humble by visiting every house in Mathura with tears in his eyes. Seeing his sincere efforts, the Vaishnavas became satisfied and wished him well. The Vaishnavas wondered what had caused the change in his behavior. One man knew the reason. A Brahmana once came to Mathura whose effulgence was as bright as the sun. Most likely, he was the Lord in a human form. He has changed the Brahmana. "O Srinivas, see how beautifully situated this place is? The glories of a bath at this half-moon-shaped section of the Yamuna are well known. In the Adi Varaha Puran, this area is glorified in these words. Those who live in this half-moon-shaped place undoubtedly attain liberation. One who controls his eating and baths here achieves the imperishable abode. Of this there is no doubt. Hey Devi, those who leave their body at this crescent moon-shaped region reach my abode, Vaikunta. Those who take bath or perform other pious activity here, even if they die at another place without proper funeral ceremony, still they are eligible for liberation. One who dies here, although sinful, is worshipable in Brahmalok for as long as his bones remain at this place." After narrating these descriptions, Raghava held Srinivas's hand and with a blissful heart slowly began speaking again. Within Madhuvan, Mathura is gloriously situated. By performing parikram at special times, one achieves extraordinary fruits. Again, in the Adi Varaha Puran, it is stated, if the killer of a Brahmana, a drunkard, a killer of cows, or any person who violates brahmacharya circumambulates Mathura, he will be freed from the results of his sins. A pilgrim who comes from very far away country and circumambulates Mathura purifies whoever sees him and relieves them of their sins. This is the room of Devaki and Vasudeva where Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, took his birth. According to the Skanda Puran, a person who fasts, chants japa, and then takes darshan of this birthplace of Krishna is freed from all sins and is liberated. Also in the Padma Purana it is stated that anyone who once enters the Janma Griha, birthplace of Keshava, during the month of Kartik, achieves the eternal absolute truth, Sri Krishna. O Srinivas, look at Keshava Dev. In this place, Sri Chaitanya once danced in ecstasy. Those who saw him dance thought that he was Sri Keshava Rai himself. Who can describe Keshava Dev's glories? Whoever circumambulates Keshava in Mathura attains the virtue of circumambulating the earth with its 7 islands. Singing Keshava Rai's glories will destroy sins committed in this age and in ages to come. In the Adi Varaha Puran, it is stated, look at the beautiful Mathura where the deities of Dirga, Vishnu, Padmanabha, Swayambhuva, and are situated. The darshan of these deities fulfills the desires of all mankind. O Srinivas, taking darshan of the relatives of Krishna, such as Ekhan Amsha Devi, Yogamaya, Yashoda Devi, Devaki Devi, Mahavidyeshwari can save one from the sin of killing a Brahmana. This is described in the Adi Varaha Puran. In Mathura lives the supremely merciful deity of Bhuteshwara. Taking darshan of Kshetrapala Mahadev will help one reach the abode of Krishna. In the Adi Varaha Puran, Lord Varaha says, Lord Bhuteshwara, who grants liberation even to the sinful, resides in Mathura. He is very dear to me. If anyone does not care for the worship of Shiva, my topmost devotee, how can that sinner attain devotion to me? Only those who are the lowest of men and whose intelligence is bewildered will not offer obeisances and remember Bhuteshwara.